Welcome to the Herd's official YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Colin Cowherd podcast, all of our NFL instant reactions, and more football content.
Detroit delivered. I mean, it was a wild shootout, 37-30 with 2 minutes, 30 seconds left. The track meet by the Detroit Lions. So let's talk about that. I liked Dallas last night, but it was pretty clear by the middle of the second quarter that Detroit found their rhythm. This felt like the Ben Johnson offensive coordinator for the Lions, 7.2 yards a play. They have crazy offensive talent. They have two running backs I like, two wide receivers that are stars. They always get an offensive line push, and it's a well-constructed roster. David Montgomery, the bruiser. Jahmyr Gibbs, the home run hitter. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the volume receiver. Jamison Williams, acceleration guy, speed guy. They can be physical or finesse. They can score slowly and eat up the clock, or they can score quickly. They had a 3-play drive, 53-yard touchdown. That took up 90 seconds. They had a 10-play drive for a field goal. That took up 6 minutes. For about 3 years, they were the most talked about offense. They looked like the best constructed offense. Even before Jahmyr Gibbs, it was Pro Bowlers and should be Pro Bowlers. That's never been the issue. We didn't even really question Dan Campbell. We didn't. We always thought Dan was a great culture guy. Since he's taken over the play calling, though, he's a little better scheme guy than we give him credit for. They're averaging 6.8 yards a play. And last night, their last 7 drives, they had no punt. So I would say we've never criticized their front office. We love it. We think Dan Campbell has established himself as a franchise culture builder, kind of like a Vrabel, big guy physically, culture builder. We also like Jared Goff. Don't listen to anybody. He's really good. But this last night looked like the team with Ben Johnson. And by the way, we've seen glimpses of it this year. I went and looked up this morning. They've scored 38 against Baltimore. They scored 52 way back when against the Bears, 44 against Washington, 44 last night against Dallas. So we know it's there. But they also gave us pause because they scored 9 against Philly and 17 against the Chiefs. It's not about talent with Detroit. And we've seen this. The Niners defense is more depleted than last year, but it's better because they got the right coordinator, Robert Saleh. And we've said when you lose Ben Johnson, an all-time offensive coordinator, even if you replace him with a solid guy, a pretty good guy, it doesn't look quite as unique and quite as clever. So Dan Campbell stepped in and said, listen, our defense still isn't great. We're going to mostly win by track meets. And since Dan Campbell's taken it over, you're seeing this. But remember, this is a team that also lost to J.J. McCarthy. But I thought it was a beautiful thing to watch by about the mid-second quarter, and you were looking at the Ben Johnson Lions. So ideally, a coach does not want to take over play calling duties offensively or defensively from a coordinator. But I also feel like it's time right now. Last night was a must-win for them. They've signed a lot of their guys to big contracts in Detroit, a lot of them. And a couple of them have injuries. As players get older, they get banged up. And so these windows, we all know this, windows close very quickly in the NFL. So I'm watching it last night by the mid-second quarter, and I'm like, oh, okay, these Lions. I've seen these Lions. For about 2-3 years with Ben Johnson, it felt like every Sunday. This year, it's like every third Sunday. And it was last night on Thursday. It was a beautiful thing to watch. The roster construction's outstanding. You look at their schedule now, at LA, Steelers, at Minnesota, at Bears. They're an 8-5 team. They're going to control most of their destiny. Here is Dan Campbell after.
These guys do a great job of they take it for what it is, man. They don't get panicked. They don't get panicked. They don't make something out of it that it's not. I think by doing that and keeping it that way, our guys are able to always answer back. They do. I think where you get in trouble is if you start just that. You start panicking and you start, I mentioned this last week. You got to start doing more than you need to do. Just do your job.
The more often we get that Detroit and that offense and that explosion in speed, that feels like a playoff team because their ceiling is very high. Okay, let's talk Cowboys. They lost a shootout. two things are obvious and two things jumped out to us. One, we kind of knew was the truth. One, we were hoping would never be the truth again. Let's start with the first. We told you we liked Dallas's O-line, but they're a much better run-blocking O-line than a pass-blocking O-line, and last night they got exposed. Tyler Guyton, their left tackle, was out. Yeah, that was bad because the right tackle's not good. So Dak Prescott was getting whacked. He got hit, sacked, knocked down 11 times. Do you realize this year Dak Prescott is the third most pressured quarterback in the league? First is Herbert, second's Cam Ward, third is Dak. So Aiden Hutchinson had 10 pressures, 7 in the fourth quarter. So when Dallas absolutely had to throw and time was running out, it got ugly. So Dallas has 2 first-round picks. It's a good offensive tackle draft. It's a good edge rusher draft. They need both. They can solve one massive concern, and getting an edge just gives their pass rush even more push. But last night it was very obvious Jared Goff was the much more comfortable quarterback. This is not on Dak. I've defended Justin Herbert all year. I've defended Cam Ward. I'll defend Dak. When you're facing that kind of pass rush and have to speed it up, you make more mistakes. I don't care if you're a typist, a pianist, or a quarterback. When you're playing faster than you're supposed to, it gets ugly. So in Dak's 6 wins, he's been sacked 7 times. In Dak's 6 losses, he's been sacked 14 times. So there's the answer to the test. The second thing, and I didn't think this was going to be a thing again, George Pickens became the Steelers' George Pickens. Uninterested, uninspired, immature. He still had 5 catches, but every Cowboy fan, you saw, we all saw. Now, CeeDee Lamb is so great, and they've got enough other receivers like Turpin, where you don't have to keep George Pickens. But George Pickens has been so good this year. When Dak in the first 11 games was throwing to Pickens, he had 135 passer rating. In the last 2 games, Dak throwing to George Pickens has a 29 passer rating. And that's not on Dak. So remember, Dallas moved off Dez Bryant. Dallas moved off Micah Parsons. Jerry Jones, if you are committed, you're an adult and you're productive, Jerry, he'll overpay you. But if you're not, remember Jerry got tired of Zeke. He moved off Dez. Micah had his world-famous podcast. Jerry wants you committed. Jerry wants you grinding. Okay, Jerry has been all in on Dak. Dak's mature. Dak's committed. Dak's missed games. Dak's been hurt. But he knows Dak is 100% about the team. George Pickens, this is what we all feared. Pickens pouts on Prime is not the headline anybody wanted this morning, and Richard Sherman, good for him, called it out after.
The big story here is George Pickens. George Pickens throughout the game, especially late in the game, just looked uninterested in playing football. And that's what you can't have. If you're going to be a superstar, if you want to be the best receiver in the National Football League, you can never be disengaged. You can't just disappear in these games or else you're not going to have impact. You're the guy. You're the guy. CeeDee Lamb is not in this game. He's out. It's unacceptable. And if you're the Dallas Cowboys and you're looking at him and you're looking to pay him big-time receiver money, $40 million, you got to look at this tape and say, hey, is this a guy we can trust paying $40 million to show up regardless of circumstance? Yep. I don't know.
Good for Richard Sherman. Regardless of circumstance. Regardless of circumstance. George Pickens, when the going's good, but now, and I'm just going to guess here, his agents called Jerry looking for a big contract, and they've said, let's wait till the season's over. Agent tells Pickens, Pickens starts pouting. Remember those words from Richard Sherman, regardless of circumstance, because regardless of circumstance, Dak Prescott always delivers. Winning, losing, hurt, Dak is a leader on the worst of Sundays and the best of Thursdays. Okay, just because the workplace environment isn't ideal, don't do a Dez, because Jerry moved off Dez and it distracted in his mind and a replaceable Micah. He got tired of Zeke. So Richard Sherman, circumstance superstars, they're not going to get the bag in Dallas. And I know everybody's going to go, he's been so great. Last couple games, you're getting the Pittsburgh guy. Hey, Des Bryant to the end in Dallas got into the end zone a lot. I talked to Jason Garrett off the air once about that. He's like, I love Des. He got into the end zone. It's hard to get into the end zone. So that's not a good look. And again, Dak was getting hammered. Pickens starts pouting. That is not on Dak last night. And I'll say this about the Dallas defense. It's better, but I've seen Detroit do that this year to all sorts of teams, including the Ravens, who have a very good defense. It was banged up, but it's just one of those nights where standalone games kind of feels like you quit late in the game when CeeDee Lamb left. And that's the thing, CeeDee was out. Gets taken off the field. Now it's your time to shine. And it looked like you just quit on a football. You don't get the bag, you get the boot in Dallas if you're a circumstances superstar. Boot over the bag. For the first time in a long time, the Bears are going to face the Packers, and I like both the offenses. This is the most one-sided great rivalry in sports. Think about this. The last 20 times Duke and Carolina have met in basketball, it's 10-10. The last 10 times the Buckeyes and the Wolverines have met in football, it's 6-4 Ohio State. The last 10 times Texas, Oklahoma play in football, it's 6-4 Sooners. The last 30 times the Bears and Packers have played, it's 26-4 Green Bay. If this was a fight, they'd have called it like 2 decades ago. Why? And my belief isn't just that Green Bay drafts good quarterbacks. The reason they do draft good quarterbacks and they draft ahead, Green Bay gets out of dysfunction very quickly. And everybody in the NFL has dysfunction and injuries. Everybody. Green Bay, McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers started getting prickly, moved off it. Favre started getting prickly, moved off it. Even this year, Green Bay's offense it was broken a month ago, and they fixed it. So they stay ahead of dysfunction. And Chicago doesn't. And so much of life and so much of sports is not turning a bad day into a bad week, is not turning one bad loss into a 4-game losing streak. I saw a story this week where Matt Stafford came out and he said, I'm really good at getting over bad games. And I was thinking about Tom Brady when he went to Tampa. He had back-to-back games before the bye where his passer rating was in the 70s, and they were lost as a franchise. And then they had a bye, and Tom Brady, I think, went 8-0 and won a Super Bowl from that point forward. Don't let a bad day become a bad week or month as a human being. And so, in fact, in golf, they call it bounce back. What do you do after a bogey on the tour? The best guy is Scottie Scheffler. Scottie Scheffler, 36% of the time after a bogey, next hole has a birdie. You got to forget losses, bad series, bad plays, bad days at work. Get over it. Just move on. You got to be resilient. The Bears, until this season, we're still clinging to 1985. We're tough. We're physical. We're about defense. I like defense too, and I love physicality. But Ben Johnson said, yeah, we can be physical. It's called a run game. And that's what the Bears, that's where they figured it out. Chicago loves physicality. Pittsburgh, Chicago, they love defense. They love violent football. Chicago is in their run game. It's a great run game. So the Bears now that we're looking in the rearview mirror since 85, feel very progressive. They've got a McVay feel. Everybody thinks McVay loves to throw. McVay loves to run. Kyle Shanahan loves to run. Matt LaFleur loves to run. We've discovered Ben Johnson loves to run the football. Physicality is not just on defense. And so, if you look at the Bears' offensive improvement from last year to this year, they're averaging 8 more a game, almost 100 yards more. The sacks are down by 2.5 a game, and they're running for over 52 more yards a game. That's the biggest improvement in the NFL. So I feel like the Bears have just discovered Venmo this year. They'd been paying people off in brown paper sacks since 1985, and they've figured it out. Now, what makes it tough for the Bears is Green Bay's at home, And when Ben Johnson got hired, he probably regrets it now, but he kind of fired a shot at Matt LaFleur and the Bears' rival. Remember this?
I've got tremendous amount of respect for the coaches and the players in this league. Having competed against them for the last 6 years. And to be quite frank with you, I kind of enjoyed beating Matt LaFleur twice a year.
Okay, I wouldn't have said that. But you know what happens? It's an opening press conference. Dan Campbell had a bad opening press conference. So did Nick Sirianni. It's okay. But it's. I feel like the Bears have transitioned from taxis to Uber, from paying people off in brown paper sacks to Venmo. And it's cool. It took them a while.
Today's show brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. Big news. Hard Rock Bet now live in Michigan. Michigan, congrats. Sign up today. Place your first $5 sports bet. If it wins, you get $150 in bonus bets on top of your winnings. And if you're more into casino games, new customers can get up to $1,000 back in casino bonus if you're not up money after your first 24 hours playing slots. Win money or get a casino bonus back. Plus, you also get 200 bonus spins, winnings paid in cash. Not sure what to place your first bet on? Head over to the Hard Rock Bet Stats Hub. It's going to help you out. Loaded with trends, streaks, stats, help you guide you through your picks. Numbers don't lie, neither does the data in there. Check out the Stats Hub now. Get the edge. Bet with confidence. Plus, Hard Rock Bet offers new promos daily, plus big legendary reward drops every Thursday, like gifts under the tree. So whenever you're listening, just open the app and check out what you've got waiting for you. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit.
Last time the Chicago Bears won a road playoff game, Dave Wannstedt was the coach. He's now joining us live here in the studio in Chicago, 39 years, college or pro coach. So you must love Ben Johnson because last week they ran it, 47 times? And my argument is we always think of physicality with defense. Actually, Kyle Shanahan, his physicality is with defense and running the football. So your thoughts on Ben Johnson's willingness, even with Caleb and all those receivers, to run it?
Well, I got fired for running the ball too much, okay? So, I mean, I was the extreme, but I didn't have a quarterback, right? So I love what he's doing. And when you really think about it, you mentioned Kyle Shanahan. When we were working together at Fox on the pregame show, I was assigned once to do a study when the Niners and Shanahan were going to the Super Bowl. And the thing that jumped at me, they were shifting and motioning, Colin, more than anybody in the NFL. And they had runs and passes that as you were watching that tape, and if the play first started with the line stepping in the back, you couldn't tell if it was a run or pass. And that's what Ben's doing. I mean, Ben is mirroring the run with the pass and motion and shifting. The guy's doing a phenomenal job. And let's give this offensive line some credit. 4 of the 5 starters on the Bears offensive line are new starters from a year ago.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, Ryan Poles, the general manager, the people have been on him, but they signed the center and 2 guards. No one's been hurt, and these guys have just gotten better every week and every week. So combination of Ben with what he's doing on offense, and I'm going to give the offensive line credit for how they've come along and stayed healthy.
This rivalry has been one-sided. Did Packer games feel different?
They do now. I mean, they do now. I mean, even the Bears beat them in the last game of the season last year, and it was just a mess here with everything going on. But I think the biggest difference has been the quarterback. I mean, the 6 years that I was with the Bears, I had 6 starting different quarterbacks.
Wow.
6. Good luck, okay? I don't care how much you run the ball. And that's when Brett Favre was starting, and then it was Rodgers. So, I got to believe that the consistency at quarterback has been the difference with the Packers over the years. And, I don't see it changing right now. And this is talking about Bears quarterbacks now. Mitch Trubisky, first-round pick. Justin Fields, first-round pick. So it wasn't a bunch of free agent that they signed off the field. It just hasn't worked for Bears at the quarterback position till I think this year with Caleb.
So Mike Tomlin, former player Big Ben, saying things this week, the fans chanting "Fire Tomlin." My take has always been, with Pittsburgh. I mean, they haven't won a playoff game in 8 years. You can be a really good coach, but the league has pivoted offense. I mean, if you start looking now who ends up in Super Bowls and conference championships, it's overwhelmingly offensive coaches. I mean, Chicago turned it around, offensive coach. Denver's got a young quarterback, offensive coach. You look at, I mean, Jacksonville's good again, offensive coach. Is it possible that Tomlin, the message gets lost? It's an old team. They've heard the stories and the motivational tactics. Is it possible it's time to just, good coach, get a different environment?
Yeah, because there's not as much turnover. In college, you're turning guys over 2 or 3 years. So you can have college coaches that last a long time.
Right.
Al Davis used to always say, I remember when we were working against the Raiders, I was at the Cowboys, and he was talking to Jimmy or Jerry or someone, and he was always talking about 10 years would be the maximum that he felt that coach could be in one position and one, just for what you're saying. I mean, and yeah, players move around a little bit more now than they did back then.
Right.
But, you know, you got to have a special group of guys before it gets old. And, you know, you talk about the Steelers and the standard. I mean, you know, it's, I think now that the fans have turned, ex-players have turned, and I was back there in June for the U.S. Open, and I had lunch with Art Rooney, and Mike Tomlin came in, and we were sitting there talking. Those guys are connected at the hip. I mean, there's not going to be a problem there, but I just wonder how long Mike really wants to put up with that type of approach, because I don't see it getting any better. I mean, Aaron is what he is. The defense is getting old. So, I mean, it's a tough situation. I mean, looking back on it, and I was curious, when it was going back, it was June, and they hadn't signed Aaron Rodgers yet. You remember, it was late.
Saying, who's the quarterback?
I was waiting for them to trade T.J. Watt for a couple ones and go with Mason Rudolph, the backup quarterback for this year. Because where are they going next year? You tell me, where are they going to be picking? They're going to be in the middle of the pack, and they're right back to the quarterback scenario. It's tough to get out of that cycle unless you do something drastic. You know, and I know it's all hindsight, but I'm sure they're thinking about that now.
Yeah, I suggested it a couple years ago, is that with T.J. Watt, the defense hasn't been very good for the last 3 years, not nearly as good as what they're paying for it, so go get a quarterback. So, you know, listen, the Cowboys lost the track meet last night. They need a right tackle. They have 2 first-round picks. It's a good tackle draft. To replace Micah, it's a good edge draft. I like where Dallas is going. The George Pickens thing is interesting.
Yeah.
So Jerry has shown if you're not committed or focused, Des Bryant, he'll move off you. Zeke, he got tired of him. Micah, the podcast, the celebrity. Dak is always football first.
Yeah, you got to love Dak, right?
Right, he always football first. Those offensive linemen, Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, football first. The Pickens thing would bother me.
Yeah, you know, and I remember when we first went to Dallas, we had no players. We were turning everything over. I mean, from the ground floor, you know that. And we signed a couple free agents that were out there, and they are talented guys, like Pickens. And after it didn't work out, I remember us all sitting around and Jimmy making the comment, you know, there's a lesson to be learned here.
Yeah.
Those guys are out there for a reason.
That's right.
And the team that they're coming from knows a lot more about it. Look at the Steelers. Mike Tomlin.
He is very tolerant of drama.
Coach. I mean, Colin. I mean, it's, you know, I used to call Colin coach all the time. You know,
I'm the coach of FS1, okay?
Yes, you are. You are the head coach. But when you look at Antonio Brown, the Bears made a trade for Chase Claypool. Remember the receiver?
Yep.
Not long ago, gave up a second-round pick.
And then he got to Chicago.
And they got rid of him in 5 weeks or a half a year or something. So my point is, Mike Tomlin, if he's going to be as patient with a player
as anybody
in the league, and you jump up there and you grab them.
Free agency can be a little bit of a used car lot.
Oh, 100%.
The owner knows what the odometer is. You got to buy on. There's risk involved.
100%. And, you know, they were, and it's not about talent. And it's, you know, but it's just the long season. You want guys that during the ups and downs of a game are going to be able to stay at that high level. And Obviously, Pickens, and I'm not putting the game last night on him. I mean, they turned the ball over
3 times.
And that defense, Matt Eberflus is a good defensive coach.
Yeah.
Trust me. I mean, I know Matt when he was here at the Bears. I sat with him. We talked football. He knows what he's doing. They got some players. They're improving.
Yeah.
Big time.
Listen, Detroit's got explosive players.
Yeah,
We've seen the last 4 years. They have games like this at home, especially.
But when you're when you're a defense that's coming along, you can't turn the ball over on the other side. You know what I mean? And 3 turnovers to none last night. You got
Dallas won a lot of the stats. Time of possession, first down. Dallas was fine. Turnovers, and they couldn't make one big stop late.
If I said to you, one team had 3 turnovers and the other one had 0.
There it is.
It's a 14 to 21 point loss.
Look at the Rams in Carolina last week. If you turn the ball over, especially on the road, good luck. Philadelphia plays on Monday night. We're going to get to a couple college topics. Philadelphia is interesting. Jalen Hurts, strangely, is actually better on the road sometimes than at home. He gets away from the pressure. It is strange that Saquon Barkley, there's no juice. Is it fatigue? Is it the OC? Is it the offensive line? Saquon Barkley looked like, next to Barry Sanders and Walter Payton, the best running back I'd ever seen. And this year, nothing. Did he just lose his fastball?
I think it's a combination of a couple things. One, a little bit of Super Bowl hangover.
Okay. That's real.
That's real. That's real. And I think the other thing, too, is I think the Dallas Cowboys tore their heart out the week before. They were up 21-0 against Dallas, and Dallas beats them 23-21. I think that, because the look on that sideline was bad look.
Yeah.
Why isn't Barkley running it more? Jalen Hurts is running the ball now about 7 times a game on an average. When they had that Super Bowl run a couple years ago, he was 10, 11 runs a game. And anytime you're threatened by the quarterback running it, speaking from a defensive standpoint, you have to take somebody off the running back and be accountable for the quarterback. And right now, they're not doing that. They're putting everything on Barkley, and they're saying, Jalen Hurts, if you want to run it, prove it that you're going to run the ball. But Kevin Patola, I worked with him at Buffalo. I know him. He's a good coach. This Nick Sirianni is an offensive guy. I'm not.
It's up to him to solve the problem.
Coach, I know. I mean, it's.
Matt LaFleur's offense was broken a month ago. He solved it.
Thank you. I mean, dude, take it over. You're the head coach. You're an offensive guy. You and Kevin have been together forever. Don't let the guy's house get egged.
Yeah.
Yeah, get that, right? Hey, it might be better for Philly to get on the road.
No, that's what I think this
Philly,
week.
right?
I think getting out of town actually helps them. Plus, the SoFi crowd will be by 65-35 Philadelphia.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's do some college. Big Ten championship. I worry a little bit about Ohio State off the Michigan win and looking at the playoff being, dipping a little bit. But I was told this by a coach who has been on the sidelines for Ohio State and Indiana. Ohio State looks like bigger. They look like they got 15 NFL guys. Ohio State's got better players. Their coaching staff's excellent. Julian Sayin is, he is. I like Ohio State here. I think it just comes down to they've got Indiana beat Oregon at Oregon, but Oregon doesn't have, as we saw at the end of last year, Ohio State guys yet. I like the Buckeyes.
Yeah, 2 things here that Ohio State has not been behind in a pressure situation at the end of the game. And you've got Julian Sayin, who's leading the country. 70. How do you complete 70, almost 79% of your passes?
He is so incredibly good and accurate for a kid.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And he's got 2 receivers. He's leading, both Tate and Jeremiah Smith are leading the nation in plays over 40 yards. So he's got weapons with him, yes. But here's what I think this game comes down to. You got Sayin, who's a freshman, okay, and you've got Mendoza, who's a 5-year senior, okay? He's been around. So you got a little bit more experience, obviously a lot more experience with Indiana, and Indiana has been battle-tested.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean they have been behind. It's final drive against Iowa. It's an end of the game against Penn State. It's Oregon at the end of the game. I mean, and they have found ways when they look up at that scoreboard and there's 6-7 minutes left or less against a talented team, they have found ways to win the game. Ohio State hasn't yet, So I don't know. I'm not selling Indiana short by any means. I think, think about this. You said Ohio State's offensive line, they looked the part. They've given up the top 10 in the least amount of tackles for losses. Yeah. Guess who's number 2 in the nation? Indiana, as far as making tackles for losses.
So there's your battle.
It's going to be a battle up front here. And then if it comes down to a close game at the end, what quarterback can make a play? I mean, this could be the first game that he's going to have to win the game.
Julian saying.
For Ohio State.
I've already seen Mendoza do it at Penn State. Yep. That was one for the ages. Finally, you know the Miami Hurricanes well. They beat Notre Dame head-to-head. They had 4 common opponents. They were better against them. Miami's got the better defense. Miami's got the better passing game. And again, once the records are the same, head-to-head, we know this in the NFL. That's the first thing they use.
Absolutely.
I have Mario Cristobal on last hour. And I'm a Notre Dame. I love Notre Dame, and I think they'd be favored if they played, but that's not what this is about. I think Miami's getting hosed here, don't you?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, if you look at both teams, everybody keeps saying, well, Notre Dame would be favored. I would say, why?
Well, they were favored the first time.
Yeah, why? Why? I mean, what defense would you like?
Miami's.
Thank you. What quarterback would you like? Miami's.
Probably now Miami.
No, absolutely. Do you see in the Pitt game against my alma mater, last game of the season, those receivers made some catches, NFL catches for Miami.
Oh, no. Miami looks the part. By the way, they have the best edge rusher in the sport right now. Yep. Bain, that kid could be the second, third pick. So Miami's got the great edge rusher. Miami's got great receivers. What Notre Dame has is a terrific coach. So does Miami. And I love the running back.
Yeah,
he is a great player. But again, this can't be about the spread, and it can't be about what I think. 4 common opponents, head-to-head matchup. Now, and people have said, well, I mean, it was the first, and I said this. I said, you got to contextualize that first game. Well, when I watched the Pitt game, it did make me think differently, and it made me get a microscope out and go look at their standings, the NCAA, the head-to-head. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you this. What about if Texas didn't go play Ohio State the first game and lose by a few
Well, they
points?
did, though.
Yeah, they did. We're talking about, I mean, so I don't know. You shouldn't get penalized. Miami shouldn't get penalized for playing Notre Dame. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, finally, Penn State, a little bit of a circus. You know it well. Reportedly finalizing a deal for Matt Campbell, according to Yahoo. Give Yahoo credit. That's a pretty good get. Is it not for late in the process?
It is. For what you're working with at Iowa State, I've been there. I've coached up against them. That's a tough job, and he has done a very good job. He's he's a smart guy. He's got a good staff. Yeah, I don't know, where it fits, but recruiting and stuff, he's been
a good recruiter.
East Coast guy,
yes.
So he'll tie in there. I think it's a good hire for him. I really do. I know everybody's up in arms and stuff, but it's a good hire for him. And how do you know, Colin? Everybody wants to hire the name guy. That wasn't going to happen.
I mean, Brian Kelly didn't work at LSU.
No. So, I mean, hire the guy that you feel good about, that you can communicate with, and I think that's what they've done.
Yeah. Dave Wannstedt, last time the Bears won a road playoff game.
Wow.
Those are hard. Who did you beat?
We beat Minnesota in Minnesota. Yeah, that was hard.
Who was the quarterback for them?
For them, it was Warren Moon.
Oh, my.
I believe, Warren Moon, Chris Carter, Robert Smith.
Oh, that was a good offense.
Coach, good offense.
You remember the game?
Do I remember the game? I remember the game. We blocked a punt.
You blocked a punt.
We had Steve Walsh was our quarterback. And we were,
you beat Warren Moon?
Coach, we ran the ball, as you can imagine, and we had the little boots and waggles, the movement passes that Chicago uses, and then we forced them to kick field goals rather than touchdowns in the red zone. That was the difference in the game.
Well, that's
field goals.
Yeah, nobody wants to kick those anymore.
No. Go for it.
Yeah.
Did Detroit go for it last night?
No, Detroit scaled back a little bit in the go for it stuff.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God, Dan Campbell. 0 for 7, that would make you think twice about it, right?
Good seeing the coach. Thanks.